Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here with us, because today we are tackling a topic that is just, well, it's completely critical if you're operating anywhere in the travel space. We're going to navigate the complex, high-stakes, and let's be honest, sometimes downright frustrating world of travel merchant accounts. If you've ever felt like dealing with payment processors is kind of like trying to solve a giant puzzle blindfolded, you are absolutely in the right place. We are going to clear up all that confusion right now and give you a rock-solid, structured path forward.
But first, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Why are travel businesses constantly losing their merchant accounts? It's a hard truth, but getting approved as a travel merchant is extremely tough. And the reality is, even after you get that approval, keeping the account in good standing, that's actually even harder. Literally just a single compliance slip-up, one misunderstood policy or some unexpected spike in disputes, and bam, it can lead to frozen funds or, worst-case scenario, sudden account termination. It is a tightrope walk for sure, but hey, it doesn't have to be a blind one.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The high-risk travel reality. 2. Core business and web compliance. 3. Marketing and data security. 4. Preventing chargebacks. And 5. How Adaptiv payments helps.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the high-risk travel reality.
So why exactly is there this giant magnifying glass hovering over your business the very second you mention flights, hotels, or tours? Well, the travel industry has a really unique set of variables that make acquiring banks incredibly nervous. We are talking about constant exposure to cancellations, complex cross-border payments involving totally different currencies, long fulfillment windows, and unfortunately a notoriously high potential for fraud. Let's actually look at those long fulfillment windows for a second. Imagine a customer books a luxury vacation, right? And they book it 6 months out. They pay today, and the bank processes that money. But then, literally the day before the flight, the customer disputes the charge. The bank is left holding the bag for a service that hasn't even happened yet. That massive gap between payment and service is exactly why processors immediately categorize travel as high risk.
So the real question is how we respond to that risk. And that brings us to this absolutely crucial quote. Compliance matters because it's your foundation for stability and growth. I really want to pivot from the problem to your empowerment here. When you are proactively compliant, you aren't just ticking off random boxes for some bank. You are literally building a fortress around your revenue. Proactive compliance drastically increases your odds of fast approval, and it pretty much wipes out those terrifying, unexpected account freezes. It builds a kind of long-term trust that allows your business to actually grow.
Moving right along to Section 2, core business and web compliance.
Okay, this is where we get into the real nuts and bolts, the critical checklists that acquiring banks use to make sure your travel business is organized, transparent, and financially sound. Now, these are your non-negotiable legal and financial documents. You absolutely need a valid business license and an EIN to verify your tax identity. You're going to need a bank letter, articles of incorporation, and usually about 3 to 6 months of processing history just so the bank can see your transaction volume and your refund habits. Plus, they want financial statements to prove you actually have the capital to operate smoothly. But I really want to highlight that last point, terms of service and refund policies. For travel merchants, having incredibly clear, transparent cancellation and refund policies is just an absolute necessity. I mean, if an underwriter has to go digging to figure out how a customer gets their money back, your application is going straight to the bottom of the pile. No question.
Now, let's apply these rules to your digital storefront. Compare a non-compliant site with a fully compliant site. Looking at the left, a non-compliant site has hidden refund policies, no SSL certificate to protect data, and maybe it makes some misleading claims like guaranteed absolute lowest prices anywhere. It is basically a red flag factory. On the right, though, that compliant site is absolutely beautiful to an underwriter. It has crystal clear terms and conditions, a secure gateway with an SSL certificate, contact info displayed proudly so people know you're real, and totally transparent pricing that includes any international fees. A compliant website protects your customers and immediately reassures the acquiring banks that you operate ethically.
Let's move to Section 3, marketing ethics and data security.
Shifting gears to the operational side of your business. How are you actually selling your services, and how are you protecting the data you collect during those sales? First off, avoid exaggerated claims. Never, ever guarantee reservations or promotions that you just can't honor. Second, keep your pricing and refund terms perfectly consistent across your website, your ads, and any third-party listings. Third, always use legitimate, thoroughly vetted partners and suppliers. And fourth, maintain highly accurate, detailed booking and customer records. Look, here is the golden rule you should take away from this. If your customer expectations perfectly match your actual services, you are operating compliantly. It really is that simple. Misaligned expectations? That is exactly what causes major processor red flags.
And of course, when you gather all that customer data, you're going to run smack into this massive acronym, PCIDS. That stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Let's just demystify this right now. It's simply a strict set of requirements ensuring that any company processing, storing, or transmitting credit card information maintains a completely secure environment. Guys, I cannot overstate how critical this is. Non-compliance here isn't just a tiny slap on the wrist. It can lead to devastating financial fines, or it can result in your merchant account being completely and irreversibly shut down.
So, how do we actually stay PCI compliant? Well, you've got to use PCI-compliant payment gateways. You need to make absolutely sure you encrypt and tokenize card data so sensitive information is never just sitting there stored in plain text. You have to maintain secure networks and software, conduct regular vulnerability scans so you can patch security gaps early, and strictly limit your employees' access to sensitive information. Establishing this incredibly strong technical foundation, it's completely mandatory if you want to handle consumer credit card data safely today.
All right, on to Section 4, preventing costly travel chargebacks.
Chargebacks? Yeah, they are literally the silent killers of merchant accounts. They get triggered by last-minute cancellations, unmet expectations, or just outright credit card fraud. And if your ratio gets too high, banks will drop you without a second thought. So let's walk through a step-by-step defense strategy to fight them. Step 1. Set realistic, accessible refund policies so your customers never feel forced to call their bank. Step 2. Send detailed trip confirmations. Give them itineraries and payment breakdowns right away. Step 3. Implement fraud tools, things like address verification service, CVV checks, and 3D Secure. Step 4. Maintain highly transparent customer communication and keep a written record of all interactions. And Step 5. Track your chargeback ratios monthly and dispute those illegitimate ones promptly. Staying proactive and constantly adding these verification layers is really the only way to keep your dispute ratios to an absolute minimum.
Which brings us to Section 5, how Adaptiv Payments helps. Look, managing all of this while, actually running a full-time travel business, it's a lot. And this brilliantly illustrates why Adaptiv acts as your ultimate co-pilot. They step in as both a cutting-edge technology provider and a dedicated, highly specialized compliance advisor just for the travel industry. They simplify this massive, super intimidating checklist we just covered. They bring over a decade of high-risk banking experience to the table, offering compliant application support and underwriting guidance. Actually, scratch that. They don't just offer guidance, they literally help optimize your business policies to align perfectly with banking standards. They provide those advanced fraud and chargeback mitigation tools we just talked about, all built right in. Plus, they offer global processing for seamless multi-currency payments, which means you can serve international travelers effortlessly.
And it doesn't just stop there. This support actually builds into long-term success way after that very first transaction clears. They offer ongoing PCI compliance assistance to keep your data locked down. They build customized payment strategies tailored strictly to your exact customer base. But honestly, perhaps most impressively, they offer account migration support. If a bank suddenly changes its risk policies overnight, and let me tell you, that happens all the time in travel, Adaptiv will expertly migrate your account to a compatible banking partner so your business keeps running and your cash flow is quite literally never interrupted.
Wow, we have covered a ton of ground today, from the intense, high-risk reality of the industry to the exact checklists you absolutely need to protect your revenue. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Is your travel business truly ready for takeoff? The travel industry moves at lightning speed, and relying on just pure luck with your payment processing is frankly a recipe for disaster. Don't leave your merchant account to chance. Get organized, get compliant, and definitely consider partnering with an expert like Adaptiv today so you can go back to focusing on what you actually do best, delivering incredible travel experiences. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.